The bell over the boutique door rang once, bright, cheerful, then went silent, swallowed by the hush that fell across Hawthorne Home and Gift. Nia Carter felt it first in her shoulders, the way the room tightened around her like a drawstring. The air smelled of cinnamon candles and polished wood, the kind of place that sold home for triple digits. She'd come straight from Mercy General in her coat over her scrubs, still thinking about her sister's new apartment and the gift she'd promised. At the register, the clerk's smile faltered. Behind the counter, the owner appeared as if he'd been waiting in the shadows. "Ma'am," Russell Hawthorne said, voice soft enough to sound reasonable. "What's in your bag?" Nia's fingers gripped the strap. "My lunch. My wallet." His eyes didn't move from the tote. "Open it." A couple by the candle wall laughed at a joke, untouched by the tension. A white woman near the checkout glanced at Nia, then away, like looking too long might make her complicit. Nia's pulse ticked in her throat. She could leave, she'd done it 100 times. But the shame was never hers, and she was tired of carrying it. "If you think I stole," she said, keeping her voice level, "call the police." Russell's smile vanished. "Then you can leave my store." The words were clean, legal, practiced. They hit like a knife anyway. Nia raised her phone. A tiny red dot bloomed on the screen. "No recording," Russell snapped. "Then stop," Nia said, and the camera caught his face as the door lock clicked behind her. The bell above the glass door chimed as Nia Carter stepped into Hawthorne Home and Gift. Warm air carried cinnamon and varnished wood. Shelves glittered with candles, gold-trimmed frames, and mugs that promised "blessed" in looping script. Nia paused on the entry mat, the old habit of making herself smaller rising in her chest. She'd just finished a double shift at Mercy General. All she wanted was a housewarming gift for her sister. Something pretty, something useful. Behind the counter, a white woman with a tight ponytail looked up. Her smile appeared practiced, then thinned. "Can I help you?" the clerk asked, eyes flicking over the scrubs peeking from beneath Nia's coat. "I'm just looking," Nia said. "My sister moved into a new place. I want something for her kitchen." The clerk's gaze slid to Nia's tote bag, then to the security mirror in the corner. "Okay," she said. "Just let me know." Nia moved toward a display of hand-painted serving bowls. Price tags swung like tiny pendulums. She reminded herself she belonged anywhere her money could spend. From the back aisle a man's voice called, "Lacey." The owner emerged as if summoned by suspicion. Russell Hawthorne wore a navy sweater and a name tag that read Russell. He looked at Nia the way people looked at a spill. "Everything all right?" he asked Lacey. Lacey leaned in slightly. "She's browsing," she said, not quietly enough. Russell's eyes landed on Nia's hands, her skin, the tote. "Ma'am," he called, voice smooth as oil. "What brings you in today?" Nia turned, forcing calm. "Shopping. Like I said." Russell's smile held. "We've had issues lately. People handling merchandise, then leaving without paying." Nia blinked. "Are you saying that to everyone?" "I'm saying it to you," he replied. A young couple laughed near the candle wall. Russell's attention slid right past them. "I'm going to buy something," Nia said. "I was looking at these bowls." Russell stepped closer. "Those are fragile. Folks should ask before touching." "I didn't touch them," Nia said. Russell's gaze snapped to the tote again. "What's in the bag?" Nia's fingers tightened on the strap. "My lunch and my wallet." "Why?" "Store policy," Russell said. Lacey hovered behind him, pretending to straighten a rack while listening. Nia could leave. Swallow it and leave. But her sister's voice echoed. "Stop carrying other people's shame for them." "I'm not opening my bag," Nia said, steady. "If you think I stole, call the police." Russell stiffened. "Now you're getting aggressive." "I'm standing here," Nia said. "You approached me." A middle-aged woman at the register glanced over. "Maybe just show him," she offered, like it was the simplest fix. Nia met her eyes. "Would you do it?" The woman looked away. Russell's voice sharpened. "This is a family business. We reserve the right to refuse service. The sentence landed like a slap dressed in legal language. Nia felt heat in her ears. Your community, she repeated. Not mine. I'm asking you to leave, Russell said, pointing toward the door. Nia drew a breath so controlled it hurt. I'm asking you to treat me like a customer. Leave. Now. The store's soft music kept playing as if the world insisted on staying comfortable. Nia's mind raced. Raise her voice and she'd be hostile. Cry and she'd be dramatic. Do nothing and she'd carry it home like a bruise. She pulled out her phone. Russell's eyes widened. No recording in here. Then stop talking to me like this, Nia said. She tapped the screen. The tiny red dot appeared. I'm Nia Carter, she said, voice clear. Today is Saturday. I'm in Hawthorne Home and Gift. The owner is asking me to leave because he says I might steal. Russell's face reddened. I'm asking you to leave because you're disruptive. Disruptive, Nia repeated. I walked in and started shopping. The woman at the register murmured, Oh my God, like she was watching an accident she didn't want to name. Russell leaned closer, lowering his voice, trying to make the threat sound reasonable. You don't want trouble, miss. I want respect, Nia said. Russell straightened, louder now for the room. Ma'am, leave my store. The couple by the candle wall stopped laughing. One of them lifted a phone, pretending to check a message. Nia felt her hands shake, but she kept the camera steady. Say it again, she said. Russell's mouth twisted. He looked at the faces around him. People who might remember, people who might deny. Then he nodded once. I said, Russell Hawthorne declared, get out. We don't have to serve you. The bell over the door chimed again as Lacey hurried to lock it, before Nia even reached it. Nia's palm hit the handle. It didn't give. You locked me in, she asked, voice cracking. It's for the safety of my staff, Russell said, reaching for the phone. For whose safety? Nia pressed camera up. Say that part. Lacey's face went pale. Russell, please. The woman at the register backed away. The couple openly filmed now, screens bright. Russell spoke into the receiver, eyes fixed on Nia. Yes, I need an officer. There's a customer refusing to leave and recording. Nia swallowed, hearing her own breath in the mic. I'm trying to leave, she said. Your employee locked the door. Outside, a cruiser rolled into the lot, lights off slowly. The first officer arrived without sirens. The cruiser easing into the parking lot like this was routine. Because for them it was. Nia watched through the glass as he stepped out, hand resting casually on his belt. The door unlocked with a sharp click behind her, sudden and loud. Lacey moved away from it fast, like it might burn her. Step outside, ma'am, Russell said, already turning toward the counter. We'll handle this. Nia didn't move. I was locked in, she said to her phone, then lifted her eyes to the officer walking in. Sir, before anything else I want to be clear. I was trying to leave. They locked the door. The officer paused, eyes flicking from Nia to Russell. What seems to be the problem? Russell sighed. The sound of a man inconvenienced. She refused a bag check. Started recording. Disrupting my customers. That's not what happened, Nia said. I was shopping. He accused me of stealing. I asked him to call you if he thought that. Then he told me to leave and locked the door. The officer looked at Russell again. Did you lock the door? It's standard procedure, Russell said smoothly. For safety. Safety from who? Nia asked. The officer's jaw tightened. Ma'am, lower your phone. I'm documenting, Nia said. I'm allowed to. Russell shook his head. She's escalating. Nia felt the word slide into place like a label already printed. Escalating. Difficult. Problem. I haven't raised my voice, she said. I haven't touched anything. I asked to be treated like a customer. The officer gestured with 2 fingers. Let's all calm down. Miss, if he wants you to leave, you need to leave. I tried, Nia said. The door was locked. Russell spread his hands. Miscommunication. That's not a miscommunication, Nia said. That's confinement. The officer's eyes flicked to her phone again. Are you refusing to comply? The question landed heavy. Comply with what? Leaving a store she was prevented from leaving. Accepting an accusation without proof. I want his name and badge number, Nia said. And I want you to note that the door was locked. Russell laughed under his breath. See. Disruptive. Another cruiser pulled in. A second officer entered, younger, eyes scanning the phones now openly recording from the candle wall. What do we have? The second officer asked. Customer dispute, the first officer said. Store wants her trespassed. Nia inhaled slowly. I want it on record that I was singled out and locked inside. The younger officer hesitated. Locked. Russell cut in fast. Temporary. Standard. For staff safety. Lacey's voice trembled. He told me to lock it. The room went still. Russell shot her a look sharp enough to slice. Lacey, go to the back. The younger officer looked between them. Sir, did you instruct your employee to lock the door while the customer was still inside? Russell's jaw worked. I don't recall the exact sequence. Nia lifted her phone higher. You just said it was standard. The first officer cleared his throat. Ma'am, this isn't helping. What isn't helping? Nia asked. The truth. Arguing, he said. You're being asked to leave private property. Nia nodded once. Then open the door and I'll leave. Russell gestured sharply. It's open now. Go. Nia took one step toward the exit. Then she stopped. I want your incident number, she said to the officer. And his name. The officer frowned. Why? Because this didn't start with me, Nia said. And it won't end if nobody writes it down. The younger officer shifted his weight. We should document the lock. The first officer glanced at him. It's unnecessary. Why? Nia asked quietly. No one answered. Outside, the winter air hit her face like a slap. She stood just beyond the door as Russell locked it again behind her. This time on purpose, this time publicly. The officers followed her out. All right, the first officer said. You've been asked to leave. If you return today, you'll be trespassed. I understand, Nia said. I never wanted to be here like this. Russell stood inside, watching through the glass, arms crossed. Safe in his square of authority. The younger officer scribbled on his pad, then hesitated. Ma'am, are you okay? Nia met his eyes. No, but I will be. She turned the phone toward herself. Her face looked calm. Her eyes didn't. This happened because I didn't comply with being suspected, she said. Remember that. A voice called from across the lot. Nia. Malik jogged toward her, phone still in his hand, breath coming fast. I saw the live. Are you hurt? She shook her head. Just done. He faced the officers. Did you note that she was locked inside? The first officer stiffened. Sir, this is resolved. Malik smiled without warmth. That depends on who you think resolution is for. Russell turned away from the window. Nia lowered her phone, hands finally shaking now that the door was behind her. The officers left. The bell inside the store rang for a new customer. Malik looked at her. You know this isn't over. Nia stared at the storefront, the curated warmth, the locked door, the silence that protected it. I know, she said. But now it's written down. Nia didn't sleep. She lay on her couch with the lamp on low, the room humming with the refrigerator's tired buzz. Every time she closed her eyes, she felt the door handle refuse her hand again. Solid, final. At 3:12 a.m., she opened her laptop. The review page stared back at her, blank and patient. Hawthorne Home and Gift glowed at the top, 5 stars dulled by distance. She hovered over the keyboard, heart knocking against her ribs. Malik sat at the small table, scrolling through messages. You don't owe anyone anything, he said gently. Not explanations. Not proof. I know, Nia said. But silence costs more. She began to type. I went into this store today to buy a housewarming gift. I was accused of stealing without evidence, asked to open my bag, and when I refused, I was told to leave. Her fingers shook. She stopped, deleted a sentence, rewrote it cleaner. Facts only. Words said out loud. No adjectives Russell could call emotional. When I asked him to call the police if he believed I'd stolen, he told me to leave. As I tried to exit, an employee locked the door at his instruction. He paused. Her chest tightened. Say it, Malik said quietly. The locked part matters. She nodded and kept going. I was temporarily locked inside the store while the owner called the police. This is documented on video. She attached a clip. 20 seconds, no faces except Russell's. His voice calm. Her own steady. Post it under your name, Malik said. Or don't. Your choice. Nia stared at the username field. Anonymous would be safer. Anonymous would also be easier to ignore. She typed. Nia Carter. The cursor blinked. This will change how people see you, Malik said. Some of them. They already do, Nia replied. She clicked post. For a moment nothing happened. The page refreshed. Then the first notification appeared. I'm so sorry this happened to you. Another. That store followed me around too. Another. Are you sure this is the whole story? Her phone buzzed. A text from her sister. I saw your post. Call me. Nia leaned back, breathing through the heat rising behind her eyes. Within an hour, the review had dozens of comments. Support poured in alongside doubt. People asked what she'd been wearing. Why she didn't just leave sooner. Whether she'd misunderstood policy. At 7:46 a.m., Russell Hawthorne replied. This account is false and damaging. We treat all customers with respect. This individual became disruptive and refused reasonable requests. We reserve the right to protect our staff and customers. Malik exhaled sharply. There it is. Nia read it twice. Her stomach dropped, not from surprise but from the ease of it. His words sounded official, balanced, believable. He called me disruptive again, she said. That word does a lot of work, Malik replied. Makes everything else invisible. A new notification popped up. Private message. Lacey H. Hi. I'm the cashier from yesterday. I'm really sorry. This isn't the first time he's done this. I don't feel safe saying more publicly. Nia stared at the screen. He has a pattern, Malik said softly. Before Nia could respond, another message arrived. This one from a stranger. I'm a journalist. Dana Reeves. I saw your review in the video. If you're open to talking, I'd like to verify details. Nia closed the laptop halfway, suddenly dizzy. This is moving fast. That's how truth moves when it's been waiting, Malik said. Her phone rang. Mercy General's number flashed on the screen. Nia hesitated, then answered. Hello. Nia, her supervisor said, voice tight. We're seeing your name circulate online. I want to remind you to be mindful of the hospital's image. Nia's jaw clenched. I was off duty. I understand, the supervisor replied. Just keep things calm. After the call ended, Nia laughed once, sharp and humorless. Calm, she repeated. By noon, the review had been shared hundreds of times. Someone posted screenshots to a local Facebook group. Someone else dug up Russell's photo from a charity gala and framed him as a pillar of the community. At 2:03 p.m., Dana called. I've watched the clip, she said. I'd like to confirm the timeline and ask about the locked door. Did anyone witness it? Yes, Nia said. The employee. And customers. Good, Dana replied. And I'll need you to stick to what you know. No speculation. I already am, Nia said. That's the point. At 5:17 p.m., Russell posted a video apology. His face was contrite, voice rehearsed. We regret any misunderstanding. Our store values respect and inclusivity. The comments split instantly. Praise for his class. Accusations that Nia was lying for attention. Nia watched without sound. "This is the part that hurts," Malik said. "When people argue about your reality like it's a menu item." Nia closed her laptop. Outside, evening settled over the street, ordinary and indifferent. Somewhere, someone lit a cinnamon candle and rang a bell over a door. Her phone buzzed again. Another message from Lacey. "If this goes further, I'll tell the truth." Nia typed back slowly. "Believe you. Thank you." She set the phone down and finally let herself cry. Not loud, not broken, just enough to make room. The review was live now. Permanent. Record. Whatever came next, it wouldn't disappear. By morning, Nia's name was no longer just attached to a review. It was a keyword. She learned this the moment she opened her phone and saw the notifications stacked like bricks. Messages, tags, screenshots she hadn't taken, arguments she hadn't joined. Her face, lifted from the video, stared back at her from a dozen angles, frozen between composure and disbelief. Her sister called again. "I'm proud of you," she said, voice tight. "But Mom's scared. She keeps asking if this man can sue you." "Anyone can sue anyone," Nia said. "Winning is different." She hung up and sat at the kitchen table, hands wrapped around a mug she hadn't drunk from. Malik stood by the window, watching a car slow as it passed the building. "They're circling," he said. At 9:18 a.m., Russell Hawthorne escalated. He posted a longer statement, letterhead style, black text on white, carefully vague. "False allegations. Harmful narrative. Internet mob." He claimed threats, claimed harassment, claimed fear. The comments exploded. "Cancel culture is out of control. Businesses can't protect themselves anymore. Why didn't she just comply?" Nia read until the words blurred. "Close it," Malik urged. "You don't need to absorb this." "I need to understand it," she said. "This is how it works." Her phone rang again. Mercy General. This time it was HR. "We're getting calls," the representative said. "We're not saying you did anything wrong. We just want to make sure you're not representing the hospital." "I never mentioned my employer," Nia replied. "Still," HR said gently, "perception matters." "So does safety," Nia said. "And truth." Was. "Just be careful." After the call, Nia sat very still. "They always want quiet," she said. "Even when the noise isn't yours." By midday, the backlash sharpened. A local radio host joked about shoplifters playing victim. Someone emailed Nia's work address with a subject line that read liar. Another message promised she'd regret this. Malik forwarded everything to a folder labeled documentation. "This is the cost," he said. "They don't punish you legally first. They exhaust you." At 1:40 p.m., Dana's article went live. Not the full investigation, just a preliminary report. Black shopper alleges discriminatory treatment at local boutique. Video shows store owner calling police. Dana stuck to verifiable facts. No adjectives. No conclusions. It didn't matter. Russell responded within minutes, accusing Dana of bias. His supporters flooded the paper's page, demanding a retraction. Across town, Hawthorne Home and Gift remained open. A chalkboard sign appeared outside. "Kindness matters." Nia laughed when she saw the photo. "Always after," she said. "Never before." In the afternoon, she met her mother at a quiet diner. They sat in a booth by the window, coffee cooling between them. "I raised you to keep your head down," her mother said softly. "Not because you're wrong. Because the world doesn't forgive black women for being right." "I know," Nia said. "But keeping my head down didn't stop him from doing this." Her mother reached across the table and squeezed her hand. "Just promise me you'll protect yourself." "I am," Nia said. "By not pretending it didn't happen." Outside the diner, a woman recognized her. "I saw the video," the woman said, voice hushed. "Thank you for saying something. He followed me around that store last year. I left without buying anything." Nia's throat tightened. "Would you be willing to say that publicly?" The woman hesitated. I have kids. Nia nodded. I understand. That evening, Malik organized a small meeting at the community center. 10 people came. Then 20. Stories spilled out. Bags checked, purchases questioned, eyes lingering too long. It wasn't just me, Nia said aloud, the truth settling into her bones. Across town, Russell filmed another video. This one was angrier. I'm being targeted, he said. This is harassment. I'm consulting my attorney. The word attorney rippled through the comments like a threat. You scared? Malik asked. Nia considered it. Yes, she said. And I'm still not wrong. At 11:03 p.m. her phone buzzed with a message from Lacey. He told us not to talk to anyone. Said we'd be fired. Nia typed back. Whatever you decide, thank you for telling me. She set the phone down and stared at the ceiling. Speaking had cost her sleep. Anonymity. But silence would have cost her something else. Something she couldn't replace. Outside, a car idled, then drove on. Nia closed her eyes, knowing tomorrow would ask more of her, and knowing she would answer. They gathered on the sidewalk in front of Hawthorne Home and Gift just after 10, the morning air sharp enough to sting. The storefront looked the same. Warm lights, curated comfort, but the street had changed. People stood shoulder to shoulder now, signs resting against their legs, phones already lifted. Nia arrived with Malik and Dana. She wore a simple coat, hair pulled back, nothing that could be called confrontational. She felt the familiar tightening in her chest anyway. Remember, Dana said, adjusting her recorder, we're not here to provoke. We're here to document. Russell was already inside. Nia could see him through the glass, pacing. When he noticed the crowd, his face hardened. The sign Malik handed Nia was plain cardboard. Black marker. Customers, not suspects. She held it at her side. A woman stepped forward first. I'm Karen Lewis, she said to Dana's mic. I stopped coming here 2 years ago. I was followed the entire time. Another voice joined in. He asked to check my bag after I paid. He told me the same thing, store policy. Dana's pen moved fast. Russell unlocked the door and stepped outside, phone already in his hand. You're trespassing, he announced. This is harassment. This is a public sidewalk, Malik replied calmly. We're exercising our rights. Russell's eyes cut to Nia. You've done enough damage. Nia met his gaze. You did this. Police arrived within minutes. 2 officers, then a third. The familiar choreography played out. Hands on belts, eyes scanning the crowd. What's going on? One officer asked. Russell spoke first. They're intimidating my customers. Nia stepped forward. We're standing quietly. No one's blocking the entrance. The officer looked at the signs, the phones. Everyone keep it peaceful. We are, Malik said. That's the point. Dana interviewed passers-by who stopped to watch. Some nodded in support. Others shook their heads. Inside, Lacey hovered near the counter, eyes darting. When she saw Nia through the glass, their eyes met for half a second, long enough to share fear and resolve. Russell pulled Dana aside. You're going to get sued, he hissed. Dana smiled thinly. For reporting facts. You're encouraging lies. Then correct the record with evidence, Dana said. Russell turned back to the officers. I want them removed. The officer sighed. Sir, they're not breaking the law. Russell's jaw tightened. A man in a delivery uniform approached Nia. I saw what happened that day, he said quietly. He told her to lock the door. Nia's heart skipped. Would you be willing to say that? The man hesitated, glancing at Russell. If it helps. Dana stepped in immediately. Across the street, someone shouted, We stand with you. Russell raised his voice. This is defamation. I'm calling my lawyer. Malik laughed once. Calling it doesn't make it true. The officers conferred, then backed away, presence reduced to observation. Russell retreated inside and flipped the sign to closed for private event. The crowd didn't leave. "This is what accountability looks like," Nia said into Dana's recorder. "Not yelling. Not threats. Just truth where it can be seen." Inside the store, Russell paced. He dialed his phone again and again. Lacey's hands shook as she folded a scarf that no one was buying. At noon, Dana posted a live update. Multiple witnesses corroborate shopper's account, including a delivery driver present during incident. The notification rippled through phones like electricity. Russell burst back outside. "You can't do this," he shouted. "You're destroying my livelihood." Nia stepped forward, voice steady. "You destroyed trust. We're just naming it." For a moment he looked smaller. Then his face hardened again. "This is cancel culture," he said. "Mob rule." "No," Malik said. "It's consequences." By early afternoon, foot traffic had vanished. A supplier's van idled across the street, then drove away without stopping. Dana closed her notebook. "We have enough." As the crowd began to disperse, Nia lowered her sign. Her arms ached. Her chest felt raw. Lacey slipped out the side door and hurried over, eyes wet. "I can't do this anymore," she whispered. "I'm sorry it took me this long." Nia hugged her without thinking. "Thank you for telling the truth." Police lights flickered briefly, then disappeared down the street. Russell locked the door from inside and pulled the blinds halfway down. The bell over the door never rang again that day. As they walked away, Malik glanced back. "You okay?" Nia nodded slowly. "I don't feel powerful," she said. "I feel exposed." "That's courage," Malik replied. "It's not loud." Nia looked at the darkened storefront, the sign turned inward, the warmth hidden behind glass. For the first time since the bell chimed behind her days ago, she believed him. The story changed shape once it left town. Dana's follow-up ran on a regional site early Tuesday morning, headlined with restraint. Boutique owner accused of racial profiling. Witnesses describe locked door incident. No adjectives. Just timelines, names, and what could be proven. Nia read it at her kitchen table, hands steady for the first time in days. "They did it right," Malik said, leaning over her shoulder. "Facts don't shout. They accumulate." By noon, emails started arriving, not to Nia but about her. A local craft supplier announced it was pausing its relationship with Hawthorne Home and Gift pending review. The Chamber of Commerce quietly removed Russell's photo from its homepage. A charity gala scrubbed his name from a sponsor list without explanation. None of it was dramatic. That was the point. At Mercy General, Nia felt eyes on her as she walked the corridor. A patient's family whispered, then smiled at her. "We saw the article," the woman said softly. "Thank you." Nia swallowed. "I'm just telling what happened." "That matters," the woman replied. Mid-shift, Nia's phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "This is Alicia Grant. I'm a civil rights attorney. I've reviewed the footage and reporting. If you're open, I'd like to discuss options." Nia stared at the screen, heart thudding. "Options," Malik echoed later when she told him. "That's a new word." They met Alicia that evening in a small office above a bookstore. Alicia was calm, precise, her questions surgical. "Focus on the door," Alicia said. "Being asked to leave is one thing. Being prevented from leaving is another." "Unlawful confinement," Nia said. Alicia nodded. "And the pattern matters. One incident can be dismissed. Multiple can't." Dana had already sent Alicia statements, carefully sourced, anonymized where necessary. Delivery logs. Employee schedules. Screenshots of Russell's shifting explanations. "He says policy," Alicia noted, tapping her pen. "But the policy changes depending on who walks in." At the same time, Russell tried a different tactic. He emailed Nia directly. "This has gone too far. I'm willing to apologize privately and offer compensation if you take the review down." The message made Nia's stomach turn. "He wants silence," Malik said, wrapped in politeness. Nia typed a reply she didn't send. Then another. Finally she wrote, I'm not interested in private apologies. Accountability is public. Russell didn't respond. Instead, a new post appeared on his business page. We are implementing bias training and reviewing policies. Comments split again. Some praised the effort. Others asked why it took exposure. Dana updated the article with the email offer, removing personal details. The word hush money never appeared. It didn't need to. At the community center that night, the room filled faster than before. People shared screenshots, stories, dates. I was there last Christmas, one man said. He asked me if I could afford the lamp I picked up. A woman nodded. He followed me aisle to aisle. Nia listened, a strange mix of vindication and grief settling in her chest. It's not about him anymore, Malik whispered. It's about what he represents. The next morning Lacey quit. She sent Nia a photo of her resignation email. Hands shaking in the frame. I can't work for someone who does this, it read. Nia saved the image. By Thursday, Hawthorne Home and Gift reduced its hours. The blinds stayed half-drawn. A handwritten sign appeared. Closed due to staffing. Russell posted another video, this one weary. I've been misunderstood, he said. I've been targeted. The pattern was unmistakable now. Deny, deflect, perform, regret without naming harm. Alicia filed formal complaints that afternoon. Discrimination. Misuse of trespass authority. Unlawful confinement. This won't be fast, Alicia warned. And it won't be clean. Nia nodded. I didn't expect it to be. That evening, a letter arrived in Nia's mailbox, printed on heavy paper. Russell's attorney threatened defamation. Alicia laughed when she read it. They always do this. So I'm okay? Nia asked. You told the truth, Alicia said. With evidence. Nia exhaled, tension easing just a notch. Across town, a for-lease rumor began to circulate, unconfirmed but persistent. Suppliers pulled back quietly. Customers stopped ringing the bell. The consequences didn't crash down. They seeped in. Late that night, Nia stood by her window, watching streetlights blink on one by one. Her review was still there. Still visible. Still factual. Receipts don't fade, she thought. They wait. And when enough of them line up, they tell a story no one can dismiss. By the following Monday, Nia realized that public exposure wasn't the end of the struggle. It was only the beginning. She arrived at Mercy General, scrubs pressed, ID clipped to her chest, but the weight of the past week trailed her like a shadow. Conversations she used to have casually now carried extra caution. Nurses glanced at her phone when it buzzed. Doctors offered polite smiles that didn't reach their eyes. The institution, like so many, preferred quiet over confrontation. HR had called in the morning. We're aware of the articles and social media posts, a representative said, voice carefully neutral. We just want to make sure you understand the potential implications for the hospital's image. Nia clenched her hands under the desk. I understand, she said, tone measured. I'm off duty during all of this. My work isn't involved. Still, HR said, perception matters. Please exercise discretion. It felt like a warning wrapped in etiquette. Your truth is inconvenient. During her lunch break, Malik texted. A former employee wants to talk. She has first-hand knowledge of his policies. Nia met her at a coffee shop on the corner. The woman, Jenna, hands wrapped around a cup, voice trembling, spoke quickly. He does this all the time, Jenna said. It's not just you. He instructs staff to follow anyone he thinks might steal, to check their bags, to call the cops if they resist. I was scared. Some customers were terrified. I quit before I could get in trouble. Nia absorbed every word, a tight knot forming in her chest. Thank you for telling me. Jenna nodded. I couldn't risk it before. I feel like someone might listen. Back at home, Nia reviewed the messages from other witnesses, compiling details. Dates, times, employee notes, photographic evidence, screenshots of posts, email chains. Each piece formed a pattern that stretched far beyond her own encounter. Alicia, the civil rights attorney, called. This is exactly why patterns matter. One incident can be dismissed. But multiple incidents, corroborated, documented. That's where institutions start to pay attention. And if they don't, Nia asked, they'll be forced to. Slowly. It won't be dramatic. It won't be immediate. But it will happen. Russell, meanwhile, tried a public relations counteroffensive. A glossy video appeared on the boutique's social media. We are reviewing our internal policies and conducting bias awareness training. It was rehearsed, polished, and carefully vague. The community noticed. Some defended him. Others called for accountability. At Mercy General, staff whispered, "Did you see the article? Is she okay? What's going to happen next?" The words were careful, like balancing on a thin line. Nia felt that same balance daily, between speaking and safety, between truth and perception. Every email, every mention of her name was a reminder that institutions tend to close ranks, protecting their own rather than the harmed. By Thursday, Russell's attempts to rally support became more desperate. He emailed suppliers personally, painting himself as the victim of an online mob. He posted videos claiming defamation, falsely framing Nia and the witnesses as agitators. Malik showed Nia the response thread from suppliers. Many ignored the emails, some quietly reassessed their ties, but none openly took sides. The system, she realized, doesn't act immediately. It simmers, waits, and then enforces in ways that are deliberate and procedural. At the community center, people kept coming forward. Former employees, regular customers, even delivery drivers shared stories that filled in the gaps, supporting Nia's account. Each testimony wasn't explosive on its own, but together, they created a weight that could not be ignored. Nia's phone buzzed again. A text from Lacey. "If this goes further, I'll tell the truth. I can't watch him act like nothing happened." Nia typed back, "Thank you. That matters more than you know." She leaned back in her chair, exhausted but resolute. The cost of speaking was clear. Her peace, her sleep, her privacy. But the alternative, silence, was a cost too high. That evening, Alicia reviewed the compiled evidence. We have enough for formal complaints. Discrimination. Misuse of trespass authority. Unlawful confinement. The pattern is undeniable. Nia nodded. And the outcome? Alicia hesitated. It won't be simple. It will be slow, institutional. But when the system is presented with undeniable patterns, it has to respond. Russell can't maintain this unchecked. Outside, streetlights flickered on, casting elongated shadows across the empty lot in front of the boutique. Hawthorne Home and Gift looked ordinary, warm, inviting, but behind the facade, the pattern was no longer hidden. Malik stood beside her. "This is the price," he said. "Not just your story. Everyone's story that came forward." "I know," Nia said. "And we're paying it together." Later that night, Nia sat by the window, laptop open. She reread her review, the attached video, Dana's articles, witness messages. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't clean. But it was truth, structured and documented. For the first time, she understood. Institutions would try to protect the powerful, to shield themselves from scandal, to close ranks. But patterns, evidence, corroboration, witnesses, could pierce that shield. And someone had to step forward to line up the pieces. Tomorrow, she would return to the hospital, to the routines that demanded quiet. But tonight, she allowed herself a small satisfaction. Her truth had been heard, had weight. And in the quiet of her apartment, the pattern stretched beyond fear and expectation, demanding recognition. Somewhere in the city, Russell Hawthorne slept. The blinds drawn, the doors locked. But for the first time, the ripple of consequences had reached him, measured, procedural, unavoidable. And Nia Carter, exhausted, weary, and resolute, understood that speaking the truth came with a price. But the cost of silence, she thought, was far greater. The mediation room smelled faintly of coffee and printer toner. the bland aroma of bureaucracy. Nia sat at one side of the polished conference table, Alicia beside her, notes stacked neatly, her recorder poised. Across the table, Russell Hawthorne shifted in his chair, hands folded, eyes calculating. His lawyer lingered in the corner like a shadow. The mediator, a woman in a gray blazer, tapped her pen twice. "We're here to resolve allegations of discriminatory treatment at Hawthorne Home and Gift. Each party will have an opportunity to speak." Russell began, voice calm, rehearsed. "I regret that Ms. Carter felt uncomfortable in my store. I have no intention of discrimination. My employees and I treat every customer with respect." Nia's fingers tightened around her notebook. Respect. The word sounded hollow when measured against locked doors, whispered threats, and hours of humiliation. Alicia leaned slightly forward. "Let's address the locked door incident," she said. "Ms. Carter has documentation, witnesses, and a video. The question is, was the door locked intentionally while she was inside?" Russell's smile flickered. "It was standard procedure. For safety." Lacey, sitting quietly at the edge of the room, shook. Alicia's voice softened. "Would you be willing to clarify your statement?" Lacey's eyes met Nia's for a brief second. "He told me to lock it," she said, voice trembling but audible. "While she was still inside. He said it was policy." Russell's jaw tightened. "Lacey, Excuse me," the mediator interjected. "That's part of the record." The room went silent. Even Russell's lawyer leaned back, sensing the weight shift. Dana's live feed had been muted in the background, recording everything. Outside, the street was quiet, but the ripple of exposure stretched far beyond the room. Russell tried another tactic. "Ms. Carter's interpretation may be exaggerated. She escalated the situation." Nia exhaled, steady. "I asked to be treated like a customer. I did not touch anything. I was locked in. That is fact." The mediator nodded. "Let's move to patterns of behavior. Documentation has been submitted indicating previous incidents consistent with these allegations." Russell's mouth twitched. "Those are isolated misunderstandings. Circumstantial at best." Alicia presented each document. Employee logs, witness statements, delivery driver testimony, screenshots of previous reviews, even timestamps of Russell's internal emails. One by one, the evidence aligned. A pattern emerged. Subtle, systematic, undeniable. "Sir," Alicia said, looking directly at Russell, "you instructed employees to follow and question customers of color more often. You locked Ms. Carter inside intentionally. You then framed her as disruptive. Multiple witnesses corroborate this pattern. Do you deny these facts?" Russell leaned back, the veneer of calm cracking. I was protecting my store." "From whom?" Nia asked, voice quiet but cutting. Russell's gaze darted around the room. No one answered him. The walls offered no escape. The mediator cleared her throat. "Mr. Hawthorne, please answer honestly." He swallowed, then snapped. "This is ridiculous. I'm being attacked." Lacey flinched. "You ordered the door locked," she said. "You called the police to intimidate her." Russell's face went red. "Lacey, you are disloyal and ungrateful." The room froze. The truth of the power dynamic, previously hidden behind polite language and public appearances, lay exposed in a single raw moment. Alicia leaned forward, voice calm but firm. "Disloyal, ungrateful, or following instructions to violate a customer's rights." Russell's mouth opened, then closed. He sputtered, then sat rigid, the carefully crafted defense unraveling. The mediator made notes, expression neutral. "I need clarity on all points." Dana adjusted her camera, capturing the reactions, the tone, the undeniable evidence. Outside, Nia imagined the article already forming, the pattern no longer invisible. Russell's lawyer whispered in his ear, but the words did nothing to restore control. Lacey exhaled, relief and fear mingling. Nia's hand shook slightly, but she kept them visible. Every detail mattered. Every witness mattered. "Ms. Carter," Alicia said, "your account has been corroborated. Are you prepared to state your experience under oath if necessary?" Nia nodded. "I already have," she said. "Multiple witnesses. Video. Documents. The truth doesn't need embellishment." The mediator tapped the pen twice. "We will compile this as part of the formal report. Recommendations will follow. Further action may include civil proceedings or administrative enforcement." Russell's eyes narrowed. "This is unfair. I'm being ruined." "You chose actions that endangered a customer and violated her rights," Alicia said. "Consequences are not punishment. They are accountability." Nia felt a quiet relief settle over her. The stress, the exposure, the fear. It wasn't over, but the scale had shifted. She wasn't fighting in the dark anymore. Outside, the city moved on, indifferent to the room above the street. Yet within, small victories stacked. Witnesses spoke, documentation aligned. The door's lock could no longer be ignored. Dana whispered softly to Nia. "This is it. The record is set. The pattern is clear." Nia nodded. She could feel the weight of the past week finally translate into force. Not vengeance. Not theater. Just the measured, undeniable consequence of truth. The mediator's voice broke her reverie. "Thank you, everyone. We will reconvene after compiling all statements. For now, the session is adjourned." Russell left without a word, shoulders tight, a man confronting the boundaries of his own constructed power. Lacey lingered, hesitant. Nia offered a small smile. "Thank you," she said. Lacey nodded, then walked out. Alone, Nia exhaled, hands shaking just enough to remind her that every step had cost her something. Sleep, safety, privacy. But the truth had taken root, could no longer be ignored. Outside, the bell above Hawthorne Home and Gift remained silent. The doors locked, the blinds drawn. But the record, testimony, witnesses, video could not be erased. And for the first time, Nia Carter understood the weight of public accountability. Slow, deliberate, and inescapable. She stepped out into the late afternoon sun, breathing in a city that felt quieter, safer, and sharper all at once. She hadn't won a battle yet, but the battlefield had shifted, and this time it was no longer invisible. The weeks after mediation unfolded like a slow burn. Consequences crept in methodically, leaving no room for drama, only the measured effects of cause and pattern. Hawthorne Home and Gift remained open, but fewer people entered. Regular customers lingered outside, lingering in uncertainty before leaving without buying. The handwritten sign outside, "Closed for inventory, limited hours," spoke louder than any video. Russell tried the usual tactics. Public statements, rehearsed apologies, social media posts claiming misunderstanding, and emails to suppliers framing himself as a victim of online mobs. One by one, these efforts met quiet resistance. A major supplier sent a short note. "Due to recent verified incidents, we are pausing deliveries to Hawthorne Home and Gift until further notice." Another quietly reassessed their contracts. A local artisan withdrew the shipment of hand-painted mugs she'd planned to sell in the boutique. Foot traffic dwindled. Staff began to quit. Russell's lawyer sent more letters, threatening lawsuits, defamation claims, and financial ruin for the witnesses. Alicia filed responses, documenting each threat meticulously. Home, Nia monitored the flow. She still carried the emotional weight, the exhaustion, the adrenaline, the fear, but she also noticed subtle victories. Each withdrawal, each confirmation that his power wasn't limitless, that exposure mattered. Dana's final article summarized the pattern. Locked doors, bag checks, selective suspicion, and corroborated witness accounts. It included quotes from Lacey, former customers, and delivery staff. The story circulated beyond the local town, catching attention from neighboring communities. Russell's defenses faltered. His public image, once carefully curated, crumbled under the weight of evidence. Social media posts praising his integrity were drowned by screenshots, facts, and the voices of those he had harmed. The Chamber of Commerce quietly removed his name from directories. The charity gala stripped his sponsorship from the website. He was no longer considered a pillar of the community. He was a cautionary tale. Nia watched it unfold, remembering the first day she had walked into that store, the bell ringing above the door. The helplessness, the fear, the humiliation, all of it had seemed unbearable. Now, she understood that consequences were slow and cumulative, not instantaneous. Power could be dismantled, but only with patience, evidence, and unwavering persistence. The legal side moved steadily. Complaints were reviewed, and administrative hearings scheduled. Russell had to respond to official inquiries about unlawful confinement and discriminatory practices. The locked door incident, once denied, became central to the case, supported by multiple witness statements. Despite the progress, there was no celebratory closure for Nia. Each day carried its own emotional cost. Sleep was still fractured. Her family worried constantly. Even her shifts at Mercy General carried the undercurrent of exposure. Patients recognizing her, colleagues whispering, social media tagging her name. The emotional labor of being a public witness to injustice was relentless. Yet she also felt resilience. Speaking the truth had disrupted the pattern of silence, opened space for witnesses to come forward, and set in motion a domino effect that Russell could not contain. One afternoon, Lacey called Nia. "I started a new job," she said. "Somewhere I feel safe, somewhere I can work without fear. Thank you for giving me the courage to leave." Nia smiled, feeling a warmth she hadn't experienced since the confrontation. "You did the hard part by speaking." "Hardest part," Lacey replied. "And I can't undo it, but I can move forward." The boutique itself became quieter with each passing day. Suppliers stopped calling, deliveries ceased, and employees no longer endured the moral strain of enforcing a biased system. The blinds remained drawn, a symbolic shield against the community's scrutiny. Russell continued to post occasional videos, apologies, clarifications, statements of intent, but each message fell flat, drowned in the weight of evidence and collective memory. At home, Nia reflected on the journey. Speaking up had cost her deeply. Emotional energy, privacy, peace, but it had also created change. Public exposure forced accountability, but not without leaving scars. She understood that the system moves slowly, that institutional consequences are procedural, deliberate, and cumulative. The downfall was never dramatic. It was methodical. The day the city issued a small fine for violation of business regulations, Russell's office staff finally resigned en masse. The boutique remained technically open, but the operation was unsustainable. Social pressure, legal scrutiny, and the loss of suppliers had eroded the foundation he had built over years. Nia sat by her window that evening, watching streetlights flicker across the pavement. The bell over the boutique door remained silent. The blinds were still drawn. Inside, shelves remained stocked but empty of customers. Outside, she felt a quiet satisfaction, not triumph but validation. The truth had mattered. Witnesses had been heard. Patterns had been exposed. Malik walked up beside her, phone in hand. "It's over in a sense," he said. "Slow, deliberate, but over." Nia nodded. "Over enough, but not forgotten." She thought of the first day. The locked door, Russell's accusations, the humiliation. She thought of her phone's red recording dot, the witness statements, Dana's reporting, Alicia's guidance. Every step of the slow unraveling had required courage, patience, and resilience. And now, while Russell faced a slow dismantling of his authority, Nia carried the more subtle victory. Her dignity, preserved, documented, and unwavering. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the city streets. Nia exhaled, letting go of some of the tension she had carried for weeks. The process of justice, imperfect and gradual, had unfolded as it would, methodically, relentlessly, and ultimately truthfully. She turned back to her apartment, lights warm and steady. Outside, Hawthorne home and Gift sat quiet, blinds drawn, doors locked, a monument to a downfall that had been inevitable the moment truth was recorded and witnesses spoke. Nia Carter understood fully now that the power of speaking, documented, persistent and public, was a force even the seemingly untouchable could not resist. And for the first time in weeks, she felt the possibility of rest. The boutique remained a hollow shell. The windows gleamed, polished and sterile, but no one walked in. The bell above the door never rang. Inside, shelves were dusting over, a few ornaments left untouched, reminders of a business that had built its reputation on appearances rather than integrity. Nia passed by Hawthorne Home and Gift one afternoon on her way home from work. She didn't stop, didn't linger, but the sight of it made her stomach tighten. The blinds were still drawn, the door locked. And yet, the world outside had shifted. The patrons, the suppliers, the community had responded in ways that Russell could not control. Her phone buzzed. A notification from Dana. The final piece of coverage had been published. Pattern of racial profiling confirmed at Hawthorne Home and Gift. City fines imposed. Owner faces civil review. The comments were still flooded with mixed reactions, but the pattern was clear. Evidence mattered. Witnesses mattered. Consequences mattered. At home, Nia sank into her chair, letting the quiet wash over her. Weeks of stress, fear and public scrutiny had left marks she could still feel, a tightening in her chest, fatigue in her shoulders, sleepless nights. But there was also something else. A subtle sense of empowerment, a validation that had been denied to her the first time Russell's eyes had scrutinized her tote. Malik called from the other room, holding a small stack of letters. "Some people wrote to you," he said. "Apologies, thanks, stories like yours. You should read them." Nia opened the first letter. A former employee from another boutique described being followed and interrogated by management. Another thanked her for having the courage to speak up. Some were notes from strangers who had experienced similar microaggressions but never shared them publicly. Each word was a thread in a larger tapestry, a community awakening to patterns they had long ignored. Her sister stopped by later, bringing coffee. "I've been watching," she said. "I'm proud of you. You've changed something, Nia." Nia smiled, taking the cup. "I didn't expect to feel proud. I expected exhaustion." "You should feel both," her sister replied. "Because it matters. What you did matters." The next day, Nia returned to Mercy General. The hallways felt less tense now, colleagues nodding in recognition rather than caution. Patients greeted her warmly, some referencing the articles. There was a new sense of visibility, of being acknowledged rather than silenced. It was subtle but profound, a small victory stitched into daily life. Meanwhile, Hawthorne Home and Gift was forced to adapt or fail entirely. Suppliers no longer prioritized deliveries. Employees who hadn't quit avoided shifts. Foot traffic remained sparse. The boutique was operational but diminished, a shadow of the business it had once pretended to be. Russell continued to post polished statements online, but no one believed them anymore. The weight of evidence, witnesses, and public record rendered his words hollow. Nia received another text from Lacey. "I started at a new shop today. They treat me like a human. Can breathe here." Nia smiled at the screen. That simple statement carried more satisfaction than any legal outcome could. Real people were now free from his control. Alicia called in the afternoon. "We're submitting final reports to the city and the civil authorities. The fines and monitoring are in place. They can't ignore the pattern now. Russell's options are limited." Nia leaned back. "So it's over." "Not completely," Alicia said. "But the momentum is yours. He can't rebuild the illusion. It's all documented, all public. He has to comply or continue eroding what's left of his reputation." Nia exhaled, a slow release of tension she hadn't realized she'd been holding. Weeks of navigating fear, confrontation, exposure, and institutional pushback had culminated in a clear truth. Accountability is slow, methodical, and cumulative, but it is inevitable when patterns are documented and voices are unified. That evening, she sat by her window, notebook in hand. She reflected on the week when it all began, The locked door, Russell's accusations, the first posts online. The fear had been visceral, immediate. But now, the long arc of justice had started to bend in a direction she could recognize, even if only partially. She wrote a few lines carefully. Not a review, not a public post. Just her own record. Speaking the truth has a cost. Sleep, privacy, peace, and emotional energy are all taxed. But the cost of silence is far greater. Patterns left unchallenged persist. The only power we have is to document, speak, and bear witness. Outside, the city moved on. Children played, cars passed. The everyday noise that had seemed absent during her week of exposure returned. Hawthorne home and Gift sat quiet, still locked, still barred from the community it had once hoped to control. Malik came by later, leaning on the doorframe. "So what now?" he asked. "Now," Nia said, closing her notebook. "We keep going. Speak where it matters, witness where it counts, document where it's necessary. That's all we can do." "And rest a little?" he asked. She smiled faintly. "A little. But not too much." They both looked out the window at the boutique across the street. The blinds were drawn. The shelves gleamed. The lights were on, but no one entered. The illusion of business persisted, but the power behind it had crumbled quietly, inexorably. Nia understood that true justice is rarely loud. It moves slowly, measured by evidence and persistence, not by instantaneous triumphs. Her resilience, the courage of the witnesses, the meticulous recording of facts, they had created an inevitability that Russell could not escape. The bell above the boutique door would no longer ring for Nia. It wouldn't need to. The story, the truth, the witnesses, and the pattern were enough. The lessons would remain, visible, public, and enduring. And Nia Carter, exhausted but resolute, allowed herself a quiet sense of peace. She had faced systemic abuse, confrontation, and fear, and she had survived. She had spoken. She had witnessed. She had preserved truth. And in that, she found something permanent: resilience.